like to welcome you to the first in a series of webinars on academic support services and effective interventions. This is a series that's being co-hosted by Academic Affairs and the Office of Undergraduate Studies. And we're offering these webinars to familiarize faculty with some of these support services and interventions, and to familiarize yourself with them in case you may want to incorporate them into your classes, into your syllabi. So today we'll be talking with specialists from the Learning Center on supplemental instruction and academic coaching, and the director of the Learning Center will introduce our panelists. I'm Carrie Johnson. I'm the AVP for Undergraduate Studies, and I thank you for viewing our webinar.
Hi, thanks a lot, Carrie. As you said, I'm Dr. Chris Jolly, Director of the Learning Center. So I won't take too much time. I want to leave that for our presenters, but I do want to thank you for your interest in the services we provide and how they might complement and support what you do in the classroom. We definitely look forward to potentially working with you. And just want to emphasize, we're always open to discussion with you about how we can best partner for student learning and success. So, feel free to reach out. We can tailor stuff to meet your needs, et cetera, and work with you to develop even new programming if you want. So I'm going to turn it over to the presenters from the Learning Center. First up is going to be our supplemental instruction team. So Lindsay Harrison, Timron Vinco, and Lori Joy Patricio. And then next is going to be academic coaching with Jennifer Lorca and Oscar Basillo. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to the Learning Center's SI team.
Cool. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you, everybody that's here on this morning or afternoon or whenever you are catching this this webinar. My name is Timron. I'm going to get things started and talk about supplemental instruction. So I will share my screen to get things kicked off. Okay. So supplemental instruction, it is a proven model for academic success. That's at Cal State Long Beach and many other programs across the country and even outside the country as well. So just to give you a brief overview of what to expect in the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to get things started by just giving an overview of what the program's about and help contextualize it, how it works on our campus at Long Beach, as well as describe the types of courses we tend to support through our program. I'm going to kick it off over to Lori Joy, who will review recent program data on DFW rates and student performance. And then lastly, Lindsay's going to wrap things up by talking about who the SI leaders, the folks are providing to support directly to students, what does an SI session typically look like, as well as a faculty testimonial to wrap things up. So I'll have a short video to get started.
Hi, I'm Megan, and I'm an SI leader. Let's talk about supplemental instruction, or SI. SI is a one-unit, credit-no-credit class for students enrolled in courses that are traditionally difficult to pass. SI takes place directly before or after your lecture and provides a casual environment that gives you a chance to work with your fellow students on mastering course material. So if you're a little anxious about some of the classes on your schedule, SI will give you the study skills you need in order to succeed. Still not convinced? Let me introduce you to Christina. She took Bio 208 without an SI and failed. The following semester, she took Bio 208 again with an SI.
So coming straight from high school into college was really difficult because my study habits were basically non-existent. And I thought I knew how to study, but I didn't. But once I did take SI, I learned to be more diligent, to work little by little every day rather than cramming a couple days before the test, and to learn what things are important and what things aren't. So my SI leader, Mia, is a great inspiration to me and a great role model because she helped me believe in myself. And when I thought I couldn't push myself any further, she made me believe that I could and that I could be the student of my full potential.
Supplemental instruction helped Christina go from an F to an A in one semester. It also gave her the tools necessary to be successful in her major. So now that you've seen how helpful SI can be, make sure to include an SI while planning your schedule. So that covers SI. On behalf of the entire Learning Center, we wish you the best during your time here at CSULB, and keep in mind, we're always here to help.
Cool. Hope you all enjoy that quick little introduction to our program, as well as a short student testimonial. As Dr. Johnson mentioned earlier, we are a component of the Learning Center in the Division of Academic Affairs. SI has actually been on this campus since the 80s, but I would say in the past 10 to 12 years, there's been a special attention to developing the program and aligning ourselves with best practices as established by UMKC, the institution that created SI. So SI is an internationally recognized program, and it was built for two outcomes: to improve DFW rates in historically difficult courses, as well as students' performance in those courses. So if you didn't catch it from the video, SI sessions, they're organized collaborative weekly group study sessions that are led by a peer that's already succeeded in the course. On our campus, the sessions are provided as a voluntary 1-unit credit, no credit course that takes place usually right before or right after lecture. We do have some classes where SI is mandatory, and those are for our learning community classes. So it's a part of students' schedules as they enter the university. And with SI, in addition to DFW rates and student performance, we're all about helping students improve their learning, improve their performance. It fosters a sense of community. And the overall goal is just to help students get through these classes and eventually graduate. So just as a special note on the bottom, we are accredited by the International Center for Supplemental Instruction at UMKC as of June 2019, if my math is correct. So that means that we have consistently hit benchmarks in positive data and impact, robust professional development, as well as direct training from the International Center for SI. So on the last slide, I mentioned historically difficult courses. So this is how we define it. There are three main ways we define historically difficult courses. And we, Dr. Jolly, work with the associate deans of each college to figure out the list of what those courses are. So the first thing we look at is courses that have considerable enrollment that have a high DFW rate. Typically 15% is a number where you start to look at. And we're looking at courses that either have multiple sections or courses that have supersized lectures. So these are the courses that many students typically take. We also look to see if the course is a prerequisite course or a bottleneck course. So students need to take these courses in order to progress towards a major. And lastly, we also look at courses where students really need to earn a high grade in order to be competitive or to continue their academic trajectory. The easiest example I can think of are the pre-nursing prerequisites, where if students don't perform well in those classes, their candidacy for a nursing program is negatively affected, excuse me. So prior to every semester, the SI program, Dr. Jolly, we work with the associate deans to figure out a list. The associate deans will let us know how many SI sections they would like and for which courses, and they would pay the Learning Center to make sure that we can provide the support to students. So right now, the main areas that students can find SI are in accounting courses, a number of biology courses, including the pre-nursing requisites, other business courses that aren't accounting, such as human resources, business statistics. We're in a few chemistry courses, math and stats, and psychology. And I'm going to pass the reins off to Lori Joy, who will talk a little bit more about our program's data in the past few years.
Hi, so next we want to show data that we've collected since our accreditation in June 2019. And in order for us to be accredited by the International Center of SI, our program has to provide analysis to show that our data is consistent with national trends. So first, next slide. First, let's just look at how many students we were able to support from fall 2019 all the way to spring 2021. In the first graph here, it just shows the total amount of students who voluntarily enrolled into an SI during these semesters. And as you can see in spring 2020, we had a dip in enrollment since this was a semester where we had to switch modality to online due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But during these two academic years, we had an average of 560 students per semester who voluntarily enrolled into an attached SI section. The second graph shows the total percentage of students from a target lecture who also enrolled into the SI section. So over the 2 years, we had an average of about 24% of students who enrolled from the target lecture, but also into the SI. And next, so the biggest data that we do look at is the DFW rates of SI students versus non-SI students. And as you can see in this bar graph, students who utilize SI have a significantly lower DFW rate than those not enrolled in SI. So from the academic year 2019 to 2020, there is a difference about 10%, and in 2020 to 2021, the difference is about 5%, where the modality is primarily online. And then, and next we have a further breakdown of grades between the SI students versus non-SI students. And here you can see in the first pie chart that 68% of SI students received a grade of A or B, whereas only 51% of non-SI students received the same grades. And then the next slide. So lastly, we look at the mean grades of SI students versus non-SI. If you assign grade points to the letter grades that students earn in the target lecture, like A is 4 points, B is 3 points, C is 2 points, etc. Then on average, you can see that SI students outperform non-SI students by approximately half a letter grade, as illustrated here in this bar graph. And next, I'm going to pass it off to Lindsay to talk about the next section.
So SI leaders are high-performing standout students who have successfully completed the course they're supporting and want to help others do the same. Their job duties include attending the lecture and then planning and facilitating their weekly SI sessions. They work with students to create an action plan and make sure that they're successful in the course. So what does an SI session look like? It's student-driven. SI sessions are planned and facilitated by the SI leader, and students work together to review the material and process the information. We use a metacognitive approach. They don't just cover what the content is, but they study how to improve their study habits and college skills and to be successful as a college student. They do this while building a community of peers, and SI provides a support system and opportunities to connect students with each other and peers with similar goals. And SI has positive student experiences. Out of 3,122 students surveyed between fall 2019 and spring 2021, 88% rated their experience with their SI leader with at least an A-. So that's really good feedback for us. So not only does it benefit our students, but faculty also benefit from the experience as well. The students in the SI class perform better on exams and earn higher grades. They're more engaged when they attend lecture and come more prepared. In a survey distributed to the SI faculty partners, 97.5% of 40 respondents indicated that they were either satisfied or very satisfied with their SI experience. But don't take our word for it. We have a faculty testimonial that we'll share with you now from Kelly Hessenegger, who is a Math 122 faculty partner.
Hi, my name is Kelly Hassenjagger. I teach math, and between being an SI leader, a TA, and now a lecturer, I've been working in the classroom for 10 years at Long Beach State. I was an SI leader myself for 4 semesters, and since I've been a lecturer, I've had the opportunity to work with an SI leader for 10 of my different classes. In my experience, having an SI leader creates a really awesome learning environment. Usually the SI leaders have outgoing, fun personalities, and the students feed off of that. Even in their SI sessions, that's just more time for students to work together, get to know each other, form study habits. So by the time they come back to my class, they're really comfortable working together and can have a fun time at it. So it's really been a good experience for me. Also, the extra time for structured practice that they get in SI is never a bad thing. The more time they're doing math, the better. The last thing that I have seen as a benefit for SI is that students look up to their SI leaders. Not only are they learning material from them, but they're also picking their brain for study habits, time management strategies, and just college life in general. So they're almost like a mentor for our students, which is amazing. Working with the SI leaders and the SI coordinators has always seemed like a team experience. We're all on the same team to be advocates for our students, help our students be successful in their classes, and also our SI leaders, like the coordinators, hold them accountable. They're always there to give them all the support they need. And the whole SI program in general is just very eager, and everyone involved has always been willing to go above and beyond for the students and the big picture of the program, helping students, helping the SI leaders grow. And I just have always been really grateful and appreciative of everyone in the SI program. Yes, I would 100% recommend the SI program to any and all of my colleagues. Not only is it a great resource for our students, but it's also a professional development to me. Every SI leader comes into the classroom with their own set of qualities, and it's really fun to pick out what those qualities are and learn from them. So I feel like I'm a better instructor because of it.
Thank you all very much. That concludes our presentation.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Chris, would you now like to introduce the presenters
Yeah.
on academic coaching?
Great. Yeah. So next up will be Jennifer Lorca and Oscar Basile from Academic Coaching. So I'll let them take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Oscar Basile, and I am one of the academic coaching coordinators at the Learning Center. I'm going to go ahead and get us started and just share my screen and share what academic coaching does. So the academic coaching program at the Learning Center. So to just get us started, our program purpose. So the mission of the academic coaching program is to seeks to equip students with the skills necessary to achieve academic growth through developmental of learning strategies and study techniques. So we help students develop the soft skills necessary to persist in their education, and often these skills are transferable to their career post their undergraduate journey or their graduate journey. And so some topics that we're going to cover in this presentation, we're going to go over about our program, our usage trends, our integration models, our partner feedback, and how to get started, how to refer our students, how to collaborate with us if you want to bring us into your classroom or any other area. So our background, so our program launched in spring of 2020, and our current staffing includes 2 full-time coordinators. So we're professional staff member, myself and my coworker, Jennifer Luarca. And we also have 6 peer academic coaches who are students. They're upper division students or graduate level students. And they are very knowledgeable on various different skills that our students are requiring to be successful in their undergraduate journey. We're also on track for the CRLA certification for the 2022-2023 academic year, and the CRLA stands for the College Reading and Learning Association, which is a top tier organization that seeks to further our support to our students in all levels of their undergraduate journey. Also, our mentors receive pre-semester and in-semester training, including observations and regular feedback. So our peer mentors or our peer academic coaches continuously receive that training and feedback so they can continue to develop their skills and provide those necessary services to our students. So some ways that we serve our students, we offer free individual appointments, and they can schedule via Beach Connect. Students can self-schedule via Beach Connect. We are available Monday through Thursday from 9 to 5 and some evening hours depending on the need for our students, as well as Friday from 9 to 12 p.m. We are available either online or in person, just depending on the availability of the student and kind of their preference. We also offer free workshops and embedded coaching and we do free workshops by the request of faculty member or a staff member, and it involves collaboration and pre-planning if you want us to embed one of our coaches in one of your courses. And so from now, I'm going to send it over to Jennifer Luarca, who will lead us for the rest of the PowerPoint.
All right, here I am. So some popular coaching topics that our coaches can cover are time management, exam prep, goal setting, reading strategies, note-taking, motivation, metacognition, active learning strategies, and we also have a tech coach who can work with students on utilizing different learning platforms, maximizing the use of Outlook, and various tech programs they may encounter as they're learning, especially online. We're also always open to new topics. So as Oscar mentioned, a lot of what we do is collaborative with faculty and advisors across campus. So if there's a topic not listed that you're interested in having us support your students in developing, we are ready and willing always. So we have 3 different types of integration models, but as Dr. Jolly mentioned at the start, we are always open to new ideas. We're a very new program, so just kind of trying everything on to see what works well for our students. The primary way that we work with students and faculty is through referral. We also do this with advisors across the campus. So if you are meeting with a student and you feel like they could use support in one-on-one appointments, then you can refer the student to us. You can feel free to send the student over, send us an email so we can loop back and connect with that student if we don't see them. We can provide promotional flyers, videos, shorts, anything that would help you in communicating our program to students that you work with. We always do prefer to have email from the advisor or the faculty member, as long as it's okay with the student, so that, again, we can loop back if we don't see the student come through our doors or pop into our calendars. We can wrap around and connect with that student to make sure that they know they can come see us. The second way we work with our campus community is through workshops. We can provide workshops by request. They can be tailored to your class or your student group needs. Oftentimes we develop these workshops and plan this out with faculty before the semester starts, so we can be included in the syllabus as part of the course plan. And often also we work with the faculty member to layer our skill development over their course curriculum. Doing so allows students to practice and engage with the skill at a deeper level, ensuring uptake of that skill in their time in the course. Typically, we ask for workshop requests to come in 2 to 3 weeks prior to us being in the classroom. That allows us to clear our calendar and make sure that we're available. But it's always nice to have a heads up at the beginning of the semester so we can have that in our calendars and be ready and able to get there. We can do workshops in person and also virtually. The last way that we can integrate into the classroom is through embedded peer coaching. We actually just started this in the summer and are doing this with a course currently this semester. This model requires a lot of pre-planning. We hire a peer coach, train them, and they actually can attend the course with you and work with you to help students develop the study skills that you deem important for your course. Our peer coaches can teach content in the course or provide that information, and then they can also meet one-on-one with your students to further develop their skill development. As we know, students are at all different levels, and that includes different levels of study skills. So meeting them where they are is really important in ensuring that they can uptake the skill and continue to use it in their other courses. This integration model, of course, takes the most planning because it does involve some hiring and some training pre-semester. So if this is something you're interested in, the sooner you can let us know, the better, so that we can make sure to get all of those kind of ducks in a row and have our student ready to be a part of your class in the next semester. So the next few slides are just some feedback from faculty that we've worked with. This one specifically I won't read. You can take the time to read it on your screen. But to give you a summary, this is from Stephanie Malaspina in the Doctorate of Physical Therapy course. For this course, we do an assessment of the students entering the Doctorate of Physical Therapy program. And then we come in and do a workshop describing what the assessment results outline in terms of their study skills, where they are, and talk about ways to develop those study skills. After that workshop and after their first assessment in this course, they then are referred to us based on their score, and we help work one-on-one with students to build their skills up. This is the third year, I believe, we've been doing this partnership with physical therapy, and we've been able to get students back on track, doing well very soon in the program. It's more of a proactive approach to developing student study skills before they encounter major issues with their degree program. And the next feedback is student perception of learning from a partnership we did with Early Start Math this past summer. And specifically, I wanted to point out here that the students really rated the embedded coach. So in this situation, we embedded a coach in the course. They presented lessons on help-seeking, motivation, and first week experiences, how to set yourself up for success. And the students overwhelmingly rated the content high. They all stated that they strongly agreed, about 80% of the students strongly agreed that the lessons they learned will help them persist through their math courses, increase the likelihood of them asking for help when they need it, and help them manage their first week at CSULB. They were taking this course in the summer, so it was in preparation for fall. So not only is our partner feedback really great, but also students tend to appreciate the skill development and see that it helps them as they persist through their semesters. And finally, how can you get started? It's always great to reach out via email. As we all know, we're half on, half in campus. We're all over the place. So an email is a great way to get in touch. Email Oscar or me that you're interested in setting up a meeting, and we can talk about what model might fit best for your course. Or if you have a new idea, we'd love to hear it and work with you. Our email's on the screen. Also, you can visit our webpage at the Learning Center under Academic Coaching. You can see there a list of topics that we cover, some online resources that we have available to all students, and also a tab that talks about our peer coaches, so you can get to know them. And that's about it for us.
Thank you, everyone, for presenting on supplemental instruction and academic coaching. I'm sure that you've offered a wealth of information here for faculty who might be interested in utilizing your services. And we wanted to leave some time for questions so that people might be able to follow up with you on some of the questions that came up as they were listening to you. So I can ask the first question, which is, are there any stats for differences within SI students based on frequency of SI use? So that would be for the SI folks.
Okay, so yeah, I can answer that question, Carrie. In short, yes, there is a huge difference in the number of SI sessions used by students, but first I just have to preface that the national model for SI is more of a drop-in basis, where that means students can go to a SI session that fits in their schedule whenever they feel like it, and so throughout the semester, it's possible they might use an SI session just for whenever they have exams, or they can actually use it every week that the SI might be scheduled. Here at CSULB, we use the enrollment model where the SI class is scheduled into the students' schedule of classes. So already, if they're enrolled before the semester starts, they have at least 30 sessions built into their schedule. And at least by UMKC's data, if a student uses SI at least 10 times within a semester, the student already has a significant more chance of getting an A in the class. Here at CSULB, we consistently get students who are enrolled to attend at least 20 sessions. So yes, there is differences between the students' grades based on the frequency of their SI use, but here at Long Beach, it's definitely more ingrained in the students to attend regularly.
Thanks very much, Gloria Joy. I think maybe what we'll do is we'll go with a few questions. Let's see. Here's another one. Another question. How do you help students with metacognition?
I can take that question if that's okay for everyone.
Mhm.
We recently, actually this past week, we did a workshop with NSCI 390, which is geared towards transfer students into the College of CNSM. And we did a workshop on metacognition. And there we really take Bloom's taxonomy. So kind of the lower to higher level thinking skills. And we layer that over what their assessments are looking like. So we use a diagram that includes verbs at each level of learning or understanding. And typically what we're pointing out there, and we do this often with our College of Business students too, is they start to notice a difference when they jump from lower to upper division coursework in their grade. It reflects in their grade. And often what we see them doing is using study skills at the bottom of the taxonomy. So they're really focusing on knowledge and comprehension when they're studying, but the assessment focuses on application. So they aren't making that leap, and that leap isn't being made explicit to them. So we come in and we make that explicit. We put the diagram up. We talk about verbs that target each level of learning. And really, sometimes, if possible, we take a look at the exam that they just took and identify those verbs and start to illuminate exactly what the expectation is and how they can match their study strategy to the expectation of the assessment, to really start to dig deeper and understand content at a different level. We often take that a step farther and talk about what our notes should look like and how we should be reading text if we're focusing on that applied learning practice, and even how they should ask questions. And we work as a group to develop questions they can ask during lecture or in office hours to really dig at or understand the applied learning aspects, because they're really missing that leap to applied learning.
Thanks, Jen. Let me look at some other questions that we've got here. Here's one that's, oh, here comes another one. Let's see, which one is this? Are there challenges to learning that you see more often than others? And I guess this could be open to both academic coaching and supplemental instruction folks.
I can take this to start off. So actually our data, because when we do have student appointments that goes into a system, we're able to pull the data. And typically appointment topics are for time management or general study skills. When we see students in general study skills, they are often wondering how to take notes, how to utilize their text, and then again, how often they should be studying. Students will often ask, what's the trick? What's the method? But we try to loop back and ground them in their own personal learning experience. So what skills do they have so far? What are their preferences, and how we can maximize that moving forward? But typically we're looking at starting at time management and working up from there.
And I'll kind of build off on that on the SI end. I want to echo a lot of what Jen said. At least on SI's end, we see a lot of first and second year students that utilize the program because we're mostly 100, 200, and a few 300 level courses. So a big challenge we see from students is the ability to really process and organize large quantities of dense information. So a lot of SI sessions is about how do we categorize, how can we visualize, how can we practice content, like reviewing this content in different ways to just help best expose the student to a variety of different strategies for just understanding what they're going through in class. And then I kind of also want to focus on kind of the non-academic part with challenges, especially in the past 3 semesters from what we observed with the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic and things like that. Big challenges are students have been feeling really disconnected from campus up until this semester. A lot more mental health challenges with depression and anxiety and all of those sorts of things. So some of the feedback we've gotten, especially in the past 3 semesters, has been focused on SI being a way for students to feel connected to campus, actually being able to make friends, because the nature of SI is they have to talk and collaborate with classmates. So big challenge, one of the biggest challenges we've seen in general, but especially the past few, were these kind of mental health, isolation types of feelings, which definitely gets in the way of learning.
Thank you, Timoran. Okay, I've got some other questions here as well. What about talking a little bit more about what actually happens during an SI section?
Hi, Carrie, I can answer that. So the SI leader prepares a lesson plan that's based off the target course. And what they do is they use the content of the target class to engage students in activities to help them get a better understanding and think critically of the information and master the course content. They'll check for understanding by asking targeted questions, cold calling on students, holding them accountable for the information, and making sure that no one can disappear in the SI session. They use checking for understanding to make sure that everyone's on the same page and people are keeping up with their homework and their course content. So this happens through group activities that are prepared in the lesson. Yep.
Thank you. In terms of academic coaching, how many times can a student make an appointment for academic coaching if that's the route that they're going, right? This is not when they have an embedded tutor, but if they're just going to make an appointment with an academic coach.
I can answer that question. So our students can schedule as many appointments that they would like. They can schedule once every week, once every other week, whatever that preference is. Sometimes our students that need a little bit more extra help usually schedule once a week. So that way gives them enough time to practice what they're learning during our first initial appointment until the next week. And then the following week, we check and to see how they're doing, anything that we can continue to develop on that skill, and then tackle on a new different skill if that's what they decide to. So it's all up to the preference for the student. We do have an unlimited option or availability for them to schedule with us. And we do have a total of 8 folks that can help them out. So there's always availability.
Okay, then how about a follow-up? Can you report back if students have seen a coach, right? If the faculty member makes it an assignment for their class?
I'm gonna ask Jen for help for that one.
Hi. So yeah, so first the student will schedule an appointment and we can report back through our appointment system that the student saw us. Typically, we don't share progress unless that's okay with the student. So we need their permission just because that's personal. But definitely if it's assigned in the course and it's needed to just check a box that they came to an appointment, we can report that on a weekly basis if that's requested by the faculty member.
Great. How about another question for SI? What is the difference between SI and tutoring?
I can take that one. So biggest difference between SI and tutoring is tutoring typically has a tutor working one-on-one or small groups with a tutor in a subject, of course. And to me, the biggest difference is one, in a tutoring session, students drive the session with their own questions, concerns they have about the course, things like that. As Lindsay mentioned in her response to the last question, SI leaders are the ones that start driving session because they're paying attention in lecture, they're making observations on what the professor's emphasizing, what kinds of anxieties are popping up among students in relation to the class, and build lesson plans around that sort of thing. SI leaders also field questions, but the meat of the interaction is the peer-to-peer activities that the SI leader facilitates. And the second biggest difference is the way in which students would access services. So if folks want to see a tutor, they can go anytime, as many times as they'd like throughout the semester in a one-on-one appointment or small group formats. And then SI, because they're regularly occurring sessions before or after lecture, they are, students have to enroll in that. So it's in their schedule and things like that.
Great. How about a follow-up to that one too? Is the SI leader's role similar to that of a graduate teaching assistant?
So long story short, I would say no. SI leaders, they're not meant to re-lecture or reteach anything. So everything they do in an SI session, the students have seen before. They have gotten the information firsthand from the professor, because the SI leader is all about reinforcing what the professor went over and how they went over it. Another big difference is TAs and GAs will like grade exams, grade exams or assignments, proctor exams, do administrative support, and we don't have the SI leader doing that because it fits outside of their classification, instructional student assistant, which is clearly defined by the union that backs both their classification as well as the TAs and GAs on campus. But in terms of helping students review, wanting to get succeed in the class, being aware of what's going on in lecture, as well as leading their sessions outside of class, there is some overlap, but administratively, they do have to be different.
Thanks, Tamaran. How about another couple questions on academic coaching? These are kind of related. Can you present on topics not listed here today as far as the academic coaches are concerned? And can you create video lessons and materials for specific classes?
Yeah, so definitely, we can present on any topic that we didn't list. If there's a certain topic that you would like us to cover, please reach out to us, and then we can collaborate and create that to presentation. And in terms of creating any sort of video lessons or materials for the class, again, if you reach out to us, we have a wealth of knowledge base on our end. So if there's a certain topic that you would like us to provide you, we potentially already have it. And if we don't, we can always create something in collaboration with you, in collaboration with our peer coaches, because they do have a lot of experience as well too. So we do pull from a lot of different resources to create those if you would like to.
Maybe a follow-up to that one too. If a faculty member is interested in engaging academic coaching, when should that faculty member start to plan far in advance? Like, let's say they're planning for the fall semester. When should they start to plan to include the coach in their class, or include the coach as part of the class?
Yeah, definitely. So I would suggest that you reach out to us as soon as you are having that kind of idea, so that way we can start preparing, because we might need to hire some folks on our end as well too. 4 weeks, I would say, would be a sweet spot, but if you can get us a little earlier, that would be great. So that way, like I said, we can get the hiring stuff started if we need to do that, and just start working collaboratively so we can address anything that you want us to cover in your class, and make sure that it all flows smoothly and correctly throughout the semester.
If I can just add something to that, in regard to providing video content and activity or worksheet, we will record that and we host it on a Beachboard page, so it can very easily plug into your own Beachboard pages as you start to plan out your semester. So logistically, that's how we work. Great,
thank you. Another question, let's see, I think this one is meant for, I'm not sure if this is meant for coaching or SI, but I'll ask it and you folks can just decide who to answer it. Is there an aggregated data feedback loop that would help the faculty member remove some of the barriers or challenges? So not reporting on individual cases, but letting the faculty member know trends.
Carrie, I'll jump in on this one initially,
Okay.
and then I'll let some other people follow up. One, I know for supplemental instruction, we have a standing practice of kind of reporting the data in aggregate to the associate deans of the colleges that we're working with. And so if SI wants to say more about that in a second, they can. Regarding academic coaching or some of our other services, this is actually something, Carrie and I have already started to discuss a little bit in the context of a larger review of the center, but that we're looking to do and be more proactive in sharing data insofar as possible with faculty partners, with different department partners. So they get that and we can work together to reduce those barriers. So, I would say get in touch with us and let us know what type of feedback you want. And it could be something that we kind of standardize as a part of the feedback we give, but that's something we currently have in development, working on the types of data and how to get it to people. But I'd love to have some discussions about that, about what faculty are interested in And then we can work with you to see how to best provide that. And like I said, I'd like to get a lot of input from faculty about that, because we really want to make sure you can see what's happening and work with your students effectively. So we'd love to talk about that more.
Thanks, Chris. And Timran, would you like to follow up?
Yeah, because I'm also getting this, like the way the question's worded, I also feel it's also about, I'm losing my train of thought, and I apologize for that. So it's about letting the faculty member know about trends of barriers or challenges that are going on. So at least in supplemental instruction, we encourage our SI leaders to try to meet with their faculty on a regular basis, online, in person, whatever way works for that relationship. I know every SI leader and every faculty is different, but for faculty and SI leaders that build really positive relationships, they start becoming collaborative. And a trend that we find with the faculty partners that really take time to meet with their SI leaders and vice versa is conversations start shaping around observations that the SI leaders having within lecture as well as their SI sessions. And faculty often have asked SI leaders for like a student level insight into what's going on in the class, what are students struggling with the most, anything that it would be good for the faculty to reemphasize or revisit in a future lecture, and things like that. Some of our best SI leaders are ones that are recommended directly by faculty that they're going to support. So they kind of walk in with a pre-existing relationship. And then in their time as an SI leader, the door for this type of conversations starts open. So not a formalized aggregated data feedback loop, but anecdotally, yes, SI leaders can share this feedback if the faculty are interested in it.
And I don't want to put Jen on the spot, but I think in working with Department of Physical Therapy, or the Doctor of Physical Therapy program, there's been some of that too with the faculty member.
Yeah, we've been able each year to tailor the workshop a little bit more to some of the needs we see in the students just starting out in the doctoral physical therapy program. So with that feedback, we're able to focus a little bit more on certain skill sets that we see as crucial to their success in the program. Also, when we do repeated workshops, so for example, we go into NSCI 390 3 times throughout the semester. And each time we go in, the faculty member is actually a part of the workshop as well. So we kind of loop back and talk to the students about how they manage the skill, what they're struggling with, and that allows the faculty member real-time feedback on how the students are doing, if they're able to integrate that skill into their coursework, which then allows the faculty member to adjust moving forward, or maybe assign more assignments or more practice with that skill, or we reshape our second workshop to really focus more heavily on what students are struggling with. So as Chris said, we're a new program. We're still developing our data collection and that feedback loop, but we are able to get that real-time feedback, and that close collaboration allows for us to kind of get a sense of where students are at and what they need.
Thanks, Jen. How about another question for supplemental instruction, which I'm sure faculty members are more than one are interested in this one. Will I have to change my teaching style if I work with an SI section?
I can take that.
Oh,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Sorry, LJ. I can take that. Faculty don't have to change a thing. SI is there to support them, not to make any more work for them. So SI leaders will attend their lecture, take notes, and just checking in with an SI leader once a week is all that we ask, just so that they can get any clarification that they need. So it really shouldn't do anything but help out a faculty member, because SI leaders can follow up with questions that the faculty member can't necessarily do when they have a large lecture sometimes. So shouldn't be any more work on their end.
Thanks, Lindsay. Maybe a follow-up to that too. What if a student isn't sure whether or not to enroll in SI?
Well, they don't have to make any commitments right away. We really want to be there to help students that need it. So we've worked with enrollment services over the years to get an exception to policy where students can actually enroll in SI after census. So, and we tell SI leaders to, if there's space, as long as there's space in the physical classroom, students can try out the session for for like a week or two before they commit and enroll in the class. So if they're not sure they really want to take it, and if they're not sure SI is for them, they can sit, join, and see how they like it before enrolling.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
A question for academic coaching. We've talked a lot about sort of the workshops and the appointment model, but we haven't talked a lot about the embedded coaching model. So what could an embedded coaching model or an embedded coach do for a course? And can you explain what an embedded coach actually even is? That might help too.
I will take that one. So part of it is that we are just starting out with this model. So we actually embedded coaches into Early Start Math in the summertime, this past summer, and we have currently one course with an embedded coach. So we're still feeling this out, figuring this out, and in that sense, we're still very open to how to integrate the students. But so far, what has happened is we've hired a student. They attend class with the students in the course. They are responsible for leading lessons on certain study skills that are identified pre-semester with the faculty member. For example, a time management lesson, maybe a lesson on metacognition or motivation or help-seeking strategies. They provide a general lesson. And then the student is in the class to meet with students in small groups or one-on-one to clarify, to personalize the skill for their own life and what they're experiencing, to do follow-up, and to kind of have that support system within the classroom itself. The student also serves as kind of a peer mentor in a way. They're typically third year, fourth year students who've had experiences and can lend themselves to what it's like to be a new student or to be a student who might face some challenges and share their own personal experience throughout the course. So far that's what they've done. But as I said, we're open to, where this program how this program might grow and different ways to use the peer coach in the classroom setting.
And I'll also hop in a little bit and just say, I think the other benefit of some of these things like this in embedding resources is just getting to use the students comfortable with using these academic support resources outside the class. So, it kind of reduces the distance between them and these resources so that they're comfortable meeting with an academic coach and they're more likely to reach out. I think once students make personal connections, then they tend to follow through better and be more open to using some of these forms of support rather than just getting an email maybe saying, hey, you should see an academic coach or something like that. So I think it also helps in that kind of sense of belonging and connection with some of the resources on campus.
Yeah, Chris, I was just going to add too, I was thinking about this because we also know during COVID, it's been challenging in many, many different services across campus for students to connect with the people who provide those services, right? And embedding someone in the class has really eliminated that distance, right? You don't have to seek out the tutor, you don't have to seek out the coach. The person is right there and becomes kind of a part of the fabric of the course itself. And so that access is just so much easier. And that's, I think, a lesson we've learned from COVID. I mean, there are models before COVID for embedded coaching and tutoring, but I think we've really seen it on our campus become a much more effective model since we've started to use it during COVID. So I think just eliminating that distance and making the coach just part of the class really eliminates some of the maybe intimidation or the distance for the student. So we found that certainly in the early start sections last summer to be really effective. Okay, well, I just want to thank everyone so much for your participation. Thank you so much to the presenters from the Learning Center. I'd like to encourage anyone who is interested in accessing these services and incorporating them into their classes to please contact the Learning Center. Go to the Learning Center website, and the coordinators and instructors will be happy to reach out to you. We've shown hopefully that what effective interventions these student academic support services can make. And we encourage anyone who's interested to please reach out to the Learning Center and learn more about them. Thanks so much.